Apparently, if you become a little bit obese or overweight, the fat will convert into estrogen and force feminize you. You'll have no choice. And all I can really say to that is, if only it were that easy.
100% that bitch, you're just a bitch. And if that truth hurts, then you deserve to develop a peanut allergy and get pushed to the floor of a Texas Roadhouse waiting area. I'm sure that'll feel good as hell. And Lizzo, if you're watching this, the haters, you are a queen. They couldn't it up to the tempo if they wanted to.
I agree. Lizzo is a queen. Who's shaming Lizzo? Is that a thing? Is that something the internet's doing? Shame on you, internet. Bad internet. Don't do such a thing.
Chapter 2. The Psychology of the Simp. Analogously to the question of the chicken and the egg, one has to ask himself when dissecting the simp, exactly which is the causal factor in this clearly symbiotic relationship. Orthodox simp theory will have you believe that it is only through the cultural manufacturing of the thought that the simp can manifest. However, this fails to maintain its structural integrity both in theory and practice, for it is demonstrably correct that given the law of female obedience, the thought can only manifest once the simp has provided a path of lesser resistance for the necessary siphoning of external gratification. It is precisely because of this relationship that all efforts to cure the modern strain of thoughterry must originate with the simp, but more importantly, with the cognitive deviation of society, which has allowed for the simp to migrate from atypical cringe to the elevated platform of normalcy, and even in more unfortunate cases, promotion.
He's like, he's trying to sound eloquent while every third word is simp and thought. Analogous to the question of the chicken and the egg, the simp and thought. Symbiotic relationship, of course, one can only assume is beneficial to both parties. I would like to just hear Noam Chomsky give a speech about this. The symbiotic relationship between the thought and the simp is certainly one that has questioned and plagued mankind since the dawn of early literature. We've seen many different forms and aberration of this come forward, and clearly we're ready to ascertain as to which one is more provocative. Pro tip, if you want to make footage appear old, don't run it at a very high frame rate, especially a frame rate that may not have existed in that time. If you want to take the time to rent a car, a car from, say, the 1930s as a prop, and you want to make the footage look old, I mean, first off, the black and white, you're still kind of off base there, but that's passable. But this frame rate, wow.
John Doyle in.
Good night, Keith.
Heck off, commie.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Heck Off Commie. Do you ever wonder why men have become so feminine? Why testosterone is dropping so much in the West? Well, I hope you've been wondering because it's a serious problem that no one really seems to be talking about, so we're going to talk about that today.
The answer is soy. It's soy. We already know. We figured this out long ago. No, we can save time.
But yeah, did you look at mom like a deer in the headlights? But playing with dad is fun because it's like a roller coaster. Like, it's exciting because you know you're safe. Dad might be throwing you into water or a pile of leaves. Maybe he's got you sitting on his shoulders while walking around downtown. Maybe he's throwing you off his shoulders onto your bed. A lot of dad stuff is just throwing your child. Very important component. But while that...
Oh, quote. A lot of dad stuff is just throwing your child. Wow. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I understand it now. I know why the ladies are just lining up at this guy's door. It's like, yeah. First off, abstinence is awesome, so can't wait for you to sow those roots. And then, yeah, let's have a child together. You just pick it up and throw it all over the place. Let's just, let's see how that turns out.
If you're not hitting your son with the people's elbow on a bi-weekly basis, you're an unfit parent, is basically the point I'm making. They need to get out of their comfort zone to develop properly. And whether it's stuff like that or in school, sports, whatever it may be, dads are typically the ones that push a kid to their limits. Because when kids...
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's no end of peer-reviewed studies that indicate, basically that if you beat the shit out of your kid on a regular basis, they turn out fine. Like there's no negative consequences of that. Yeah, it's pure science. So just, drop a few elbow slams on your kid every now and then, a few light thrashings, every now and then, and yeah, they're going to turn out completely well-adjusted, totally fine. It's just science.
Sometimes moms do have to step in like, hey, don't do that with them. But that's where the compromise is. Like one time I was 7 and I climbed, I kid you not, like 4 stories up in...
That's the clip he thought would be appropriate to illustrate his point. Like that's what he was like, yeah, this is relevant to my story. Holy shit. So yeah, I was gonna give him like, I guess, a little bit of credit and be like, okay, well, he's not actually talking about literally throwing children across the room. Like he's not talking about throwing them around like bags of potatoes.
And an excuse for something. So we'll talk about why simping is bad. Then we'll talk about how to stop simping.
How about that second angle, eh? Like fucking the production quality is just chef's kiss over here. Like I'm gonna guess this is all himself. I mean, he's his family has bestowed upon him 2 webcams. I want a second webcam for Christmas, Mummy, so I can do my little Nazi show. It's like, oh, you're Mummy's little Nazi. My little Nazi needs a second camera. Well, what my little Nazi needs, my little Nazi's gonna get. And then, of course, he's like, I'm just gonna point that thing fucking right from the bottom up. I want a powerful masculine alpha angle, one that demonstrates my unique Aryan skull shape.
Male feminists are a great example of white knights. And you might remember I've said before that there was no such thing as an honest male feminist. And that's true. And we'll get into that in a bit more detail in a second. But basically my thesis is that single mothers and social media, aided by an unprecedented decline in testosterone, have created a generation of weak men. And this often manifests as becoming a simp. And let me be clear, when I say that...
Oh man, I love that every single one of these, alpha, studly specimens... I mean, it's always this is kind of the look, right? What you expect when these, like, just consummate chads are coming forward and being like, just loss of testosterone, unfortunately. That's really what's holding back the male species, yes. And let's not even begin to talk about eggs. Oh, I bet my boy is going to be talking about eggs. At some point in this, he's going to bring up male fertilization. He's going to talk about whether women's eggs are drying up. I mean, there's going to be some Stefan Molyneux in here. There's got to be. He's building up to it.
Having higher testosterone gives you a greater chance of competing successfully in general, as we'll talk about. So you can actually create a positive feedback loop like this when you're succeeding. So you succeed, your testosterone increases, and you succeed more, you're more likely to, et cetera, et cetera. But this can't happen if you don't have...
Oh, that's awesome. Success rewards you in testosterone. I didn't know that. It's basically like a power-up in an RPG. Every time you do something good, it's like, bing, +1. Nice. Oh, I scored really good on that math exam. Ooh, oh, I felt it. Little testosterone injection there. Nice. Yeah, things are looking up. Things are looking up for old Lance. Hopefully I keep succeeding and I can keep getting my testosterone boosters as we go along.
Give their children the gifts of self-control and social skills. That is extremely important. What happens if you don't have self-control or social skills? You're probably going to lust after women on the internet instead of going out and meeting...
Oh, nice. I was like, is he actually going to bring it back to this whole like thoughts, e-girls, simps discussion? And nice. We've come full circle. Right? We've done it. We understand the entire thought process. We understand the machinations that go on behind his brain. It's interesting though. Like a lot of these kind of, right-wing reactionaries, they take a handful of things that happen to be true. He'll bring out some peer-reviewed studies and he'll be like, yeah, based on this, we have some statistical analysis that these kind of behaviors are good for you. Like, okay, great. And that's why you should throw your baby across that's why you should play darts with your children. You should make a giant board on the wall and just throw babies at it all day. And that's all there is to it.
Low testosterone means low muscle mass. It means that your bones are weaker. You're more frail. It means that you lose your drive to gain power and status. It means that you're less dominant. It means that you're literally bad at getting birds. Bro, the birds are cringing at you, bro. Go.
Okay, at first I didn't know what he meant by birds, but oh nice, he's using that old, 1920s colloquialism. So yeah, that's interesting. All right, all you lovely birds, here we go. Let's talk a little bit about this. Apparently, if you become a little bit obese or overweight, the fat will convert into estrogen and force feminize you. You'll have no choice. And all I can really say to that is, if only it were that easy. I just got here. I have no idea what this man is, but he has impeccable style, so I'm drawn to listen to him. Yes, he does, absolutely. It's basically halfway between a Mormon and a mortician. I mean, you can kind of choose your flavor. And I was saying earlier, he probably preserves himself. He practices embalming on his own body. I mean, he drinks embalming fluid. It's part of the whole process.
We would first and foremost like to thank our god, Nicholas Marks. We worship at your temple. We would like to thank our monarch, Elsie Hupp. Your generosity has made this entire thing possible. We would like to thank our lords, Ricky Pilgrim, I'm Raft, and Michaela Schmidt. You are the pillars of our organization. To our knights of the Surf Table, Paul Parfit, Daniel Kahn, Fair Tahan, Clement Chutzkoff, Schizosaurus, Josh Mickelson, Dr. Zayas, Cooper Pilot, Andre Lynn Epperly, Dylan Bith, Terry, Todd Buckingham, Jed Lewis, Todd Lajeunesse.